Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Once there lived a lovely princess with snow-white skin and the bluest eyes. She was named Snow White. When she was a baby, her mother died and her father remarried. The new queen was very beautiful, but really very wicked. The queen would ask her magic mirror, "Mirror, mirror, on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" The mirror replied,
"You are, your majesty."
And she was very happy. As Snow White grew older, she grew more beautiful. One day, when the queen asked the mirror who was the fairest, the magic mirror replied,
"Snow White is the fairest of them all."
Now the wicked queen was very angry and jealous of Snow White. She called her huntsman to take Snow White into the forest and kill her. "Bring me back her heart," she ordered. The huntsman took Snow White to the forest. But he took pity on her and set her free.
"Run away quickly now,"
he said. He killed a deer and took its heart to the wicked queen. Snow White wandered in the forest all night, crying. When it was day, she walked until she came to a tiny cottage and went inside. "I wonder who lives here," she said. She saw 7 tiny plates on the table and 7 tiny beds in the bedroom. Snow White cooked a wonderful meal and cleaned the house. She grew tired and went to sleep on one of the little beds. In the night, the 7 dwarfs who lived in the cottage came home. They found Snow White sleeping and a lovely supper ready. They watched her until she woke up, and then she told them her story. One of the 7 dwarfs said, "You can stay with us here." Snow White was glad to do so, since she had nowhere else to go. When the 7 dwarfs were out, Snow White would make delicious meals and clean the house. The dwarfs loved her and cared for her. Every morning before leaving, they warned her,
"Never open the door to strangers."
Meanwhile, in the palace, the wicked queen asked, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" The mirror replied,
"Snow White is the fairest of them all, and she lives with the 7 dwarves in the woods."
The wicked queen was furious. She made a poisonous potion and dipped a shiny red apple in it. Then she disguised herself as an old peasant woman and put the poisoned apple with others in her basket. She went into the woods and knocked on the cottage door. "Who's there?" asked Snow White. "I'm an old peasant woman selling apples," the wicked queen replied. "I am so sorry, old lady. I cannot let you in. I am not to talk to strangers." But when Snow White saw the shiny red apples, she opened the door. The wicked queen offered her the poisoned apple. Snow White took a bite and fell to the floor in a deep sleep. The wicked queen went back to the palace and asked the mirror, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" The mirror replied,
"You are, your majesty."
And she was very happy. When the 7 dwarfs came home, they found Snow White lying on the floor. They cried all night. And in the morning, they built a glass coffin for Snow White. They kept the coffin near the house. One day, Prince Charming was passing the cottage and saw Snow White lying in the coffin. He said,
"My, how beautiful she is."
Then he leaned down and kissed her. Immediately, Snow White woke up from her long sleep and opened her eyes. Prince Charming married Snow White and took her to his palace, and they lived happily ever after.